brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. Now it's sippin' time.
Yes, it's sippin' time again. Hello and welcome to this Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. As always, we are the best thing on at 2 a.m. This is a 1-hour show that's been known to be entertaining for nearly 20 minutes. We are still banned in most major metropolitan areas.
Once again.
6 states and Universal Studios because of a problem with Harmeet and some little kids on the Harry Potter ride.
I took their candy to show them that Expelliarmus does not work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Roll Tide.
I'll never get to go on that ride again. Thanks. This is Made Man Bob, and joining me today, our Made Man Brent.
It's a pleasure to be down here in the basement. Enjoy it.
You like it down in the basement. You always enjoy a place that's nice and cold and damp.
Yes, yes. I learned not to take my shoes off, but other than that, it's good.
And Made Man Maury.
Good morning, Bob. The basement is looking lovely today.
Isn't it, though? Yeah, I got some throw pillows. You know, it's the rug really ties the room together.
It is the rug.
It's the bear rug. Yeah, it's a bear rug. That's why.
Yeah. Ooh, that creates a nasty thought in my head. Good old boy, Justin.
Good morning, Bob. I love the forest theme today.
Good Lord. And good old boy, Harmeet.
I'm sorry, I was naked on the bear rug. I had to get back.
Yeah, that's why I said I had a horrible image in my head. Dear God. Brent, Maury, and myself are with the Bourbon Mafia. The Bourbon Mafia is a non-profit organization composed of bourbon enthusiasts and industry professionals. With representation in 8 states, our members combine a love of bourbon with a passion for charitable work.
You always leave out drinking. You never say it's
We're
drinking.
Getting to the drinking.
You're drinkers.
We're getting to the drinking.
All right.
The group uses their love of our native spirit to raise money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other theme events. Check us out on Facebook at the Bourbon Mafia. And our show is also sponsored in part by
Sorry.
All right. It's not sponsored by anybody else.
There's no sponsor today.
It's only sponsored by the Fort Lauderdale Whiskey Society. Come check us out on FTLSW.com, and we'll just keep moving on then if somebody's going to be smarmy today.
I'm going to take my clothes off and get on the bearskin rug.
Dear God. We are also sponsored in part
Why? They don't work.
By a ungrateful son of a gun at Fine Spirits.
Yeah.
Home of the enigmatic machines that aren't exactly working at this moment.
We are moving.
What if they? If they were, they would be, pouring some reasonably okay wines and spirits. Probably not fine ones.
They're just nomadic right now.
By the glass, yeah, probably by
building my permanent store.
By the the red Solo Cup. So you can find them where?
www.finespirits.net or facebook.com/finespirits.
Oh yeah, so you managed to figure that one out. Yeah. All right, our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, coffee, and today's show is the Old Forester line of bourbons. And our samples today were graciously provided to us by who, Maury?
Jeff Arnett and Chris Morris, master distillers for Brown-Forman.
Never heard of them, really? Are they new?
They're new.
Oh, okay. Well,
Maury likes to drop names when he goes and meets people.
And here are the whiskeys let me pick those names up off the floor for Maury here. Hold on. And here's the whiskeys we're going to discuss today. We have the Old Forester Single Barrel, the Old Forester 100 Proof, the Old Forester 1870 Original Batch, Old Forester 1897 Bottled and Bond, Old Forester 1920 Prohibition Style, and the Old Forester Statesman release. So why don't we have Brent tell us a little bit about our SIPS ratings?
Thanks, Bob.
Come on, come up with a good accent.
A good accent?
Yeah.
Maybe like Yogi Bear or something. Ooh,
he's never done a good accent before.
Never done it. Right, should I start now?
He's tried.
Ranger Smith can take this. He knows what he can do with this bottle. He can stuff it where the sun don't shine, boo-boo. I'm going to go drink.
We'll be tasting and discussing these whiskeys and rating them with these SIPS ratings, plus our signature sounds. Here are those ratings now. Hey, boo-boo, Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
How many sips would that be?
That'd be one sip. Oh, what about?
Gee, Yogi, the ranger looks really mad.
No, he doesn't. 2 sips. Nice. But what else will you have, Mr. Ranger?
Well, isn't that nice?
3 sips. Boo-boo. Interesting. What was that again?
Here comes the drunken leprechaun.
The drunken
you notice
leprechaun.
the drunken leprechaun comes out no matter. I could tell him to do any accent on earth. It could be Russian, and the drunken leprechaun's going to come out. Oh, dear Lord.
4 sips. Let's keep this secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
That's classified.
5 sips. Oh, my. I was unaware anything could be this good.
Said his wife.
I was looking at Harmeet on the bear rug.
I could tell his eyes were all over me.
I think I just threw up in my mouth a little. Oh, dear Lord. Right into the toilet, man. This is a record. We're at about 5 minutes in.
I'm waiting for my hush money.
Lord. I got $1 for you if it'll make you hush. So why don't we have Maury, Mr. Name Dropper, tell us all about the Old Forester brand.
How many times have you been there, Maury?
Thank you, Bob.
How many times have you been there?
I haven't been to the Old Forester
Not yet.
Only Bob.
Oh, I have. Yeah.
You were climbing in the stills.
Of course, yeah. Oh, yeah. They had the columns still apart for maintenance, had all the plates out, and they were out soda blasting them. And the guy was apologizing. Very nice guy. He was so sweet. I'm so sorry this is all apart. And I said, you don't understand. I said, this is, tourists want to see stuff coming out. Idiots like us want to crawl inside and see what makes it work. And the guy was sitting there soda blasting the diffuser plates. And I looked at him, I go, could I do it? And he looked at me like, yeah, all day long if you want.
Okay, and on that note, the Old Forester brand is owned by the Brown-Forman Company and was the creation of one of its founders, George Garvin Brown. George, a former pharmaceutical salesman, along with his half-brother, John Thompson Street Brown, started a company known as JTS Brown and Bro. It was this company.
Bro. They were the first bros.
Broseph.
Oh, yeah.
It was this company which, after a couple of name changes and partnerships, eventually became solely owned by George and changed its name to Brown-Forman in 1902. George Garvin Brown introduced the Old Forester brand in 1870. The brand was originally Old Forester, spelled with a double R, and was supposed to be named after Dr. William Forester, a friend and customer of George Garvin Brown when he was working as a pharmaceutical salesman. When Dr. Forester retired, they dropped the second R in the name. Really no idea why.
Sounds like a story to me, but I've known a few pharmaceutical salesmen in my time, but they're street pharmaceutical salesmen, so that's a different. I think
There's
that's
probably some bitter regret in there.
They don't wear suits and carry briefcases. It's
the doctor's retired. He's not buying the pharmaceuticals anymore. He's named it on the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
In the early days, some producers were selling whiskey of questionable quality, and some were selling whiskey that was downright dangerous.
Some today are selling whiskey of questionable quality.
This is true. And Mr. Brown...
They shall remain nameless in this particular show.
Mr. Brown knew that something needed to be done to make his product stand out. And with the advances in mass production of glass containers happening at the same time, he decided to make Old Forester the first bourbon to be sold exclusively in sealed glass bottles as a way to guarantee quality and prevent the product from being tampered with. That way, the consumer who bought Old Forester knew what they were buying was safe and the genuine article. And this approach made...
Excellent.
This approach made the product popular with the pharmacists that sold whiskey, whose approval was noted in product advertisements of the era. Old Forester was the top brand at Brown-Forman until Prohibition in 1920. Post-Prohibition, they became known for other brands such as Early Times and Jack Daniels. Regardless, Old Forester is the longest-running bourbon on the market today.
I mean, think about it. The pharmacists were selling whiskey at the same time they were selling laudanum.
And opium and heroin.
Well, that's laudanum. It's like, wow, what a great time to be alive. I'm going to go down to the drugstore, honey. Is there anything you need? Good gosh. All right.
Heroin's good for the complexion. That's
You guys are dumber than a box of hair.
literally, that was something that doctors used to say.
All right.
It's a miracle drug.
It's a miracle that you live through it. All right. Well, let's get on with it. Let's get to our first whiskey. So we're going to have Justin tell us about that one.
Old Forester single barrel. It's 45% alcohol by volume or 90 proof.
How many barrels does that come from?
One.
You got to think about
Almost
that.
got him.
Our mathematician.
The color's a light.
No, it just means it's an unmarried barrel. Still a bachelor.
It's an old maid. Yeah.
Till it joins eHarmony. So the color's a light amber.
It has a little more to it. They make you take a personality profile before that. So
I think the nose was complex and spicy on this one. And the palate was different. The palate was sweet and spicy. And the finish was like a short to medium finish. There's some other products we're going to review later that have a much longer, more interesting finish. Although I gave this 3 sips because I thought it was pretty decent.
all right.
Interesting.
All right. Brent, what'd you think?
I enjoyed this one. You know, for a single barrel, I think each one is different. I've had a couple different ones from
Today.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, so what you get from one, you don't always get from another one, and you're expecting something, and you went there to get that, and you're like, okay, I wanted to go to another one, and it's a little bit different. It's like, man, that was nothing what I thought it was going to be, but yeah, I mean, I got with the nose, I got a pepper, clove, cherries, vanilla. And my palate kind of mirrored that, you know, except I got a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of caramel on it and stuff. I got a medium finish, a little bit of lingering of some oak and pepper at the end. But, you know, so I gave it a solid 3 sips.
All right.
Interesting.
And we'll be back.
Rolling clouds and crashing surf, iridescent dunes reflecting by the light of a rising, glowing moon. Seashore mesmerizing, night breeze hypnotizing. We've come across these back roads none too soon. Look to the left, to the right. Keep your eyes on the road, my darling. Wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows. My hand is yours forever, sweet love.
And we're back, and we are talking about products from the Old Forester distillery. So we were talking about the Old Forester single barrel. So what'd you think, Maury?
I think it's a beautifully made whiskey. For me, it's a little bit of an entry level whiskey in that it's not as complex as some of the other stuff we had. I think it's a little bit light on the palate. It's a beautiful, easy drinking whiskey. It's probably the most reasonably priced and affordable single barrels you can find out there.
Yeah, that's true.
I think for the price, the quality is excellent. And it's a real great introduction to single barrel whiskey. I think it's something that you could easily drink every day. It's nice to have on the shelf. I agree with all the tasting notes that Brent mentioned. Just a classic example of a nice bourbon, and I gave it a solid 3 sips.
All right.
How much does it go for?
I want to say it's about
$1 million.
I want to say it's about $30.
All right. Mr. Happy, what do you think?
I'm not happy. I don't know what the hell these guys were drinking.
As usual.
I swear to you, this is I don't see how you think this is an easy drinking whiskey. The first thing I got was like, wow, this is bitter, and I'm revisiting it now because it took a long time to open up.
You know, that's just like.
But when I
Hence
first
his
poured
nickname,
it,
Mr. Bitter.
I'm Mr. Happy. This is not making me happy. So I first tasted just like, okay, brown sugar, breaking spices. I didn't get much. I didn't get that cherry you were talking about, Brent. And on the palate, it was just overly woody, a little bitter. I added some water to it. Then I got some brown sugar, citrus, vanilla, a little cocoa. I was like pleased with the little water. Again, it just didn't open up. It was really just off-putting to me. So I was going to give it like 2 sips. And then
Well, isn't that nice?
I let it breathe. Now it's been a half hour since it's been in the glass. It's lighter. Now you were talking earlier, Maury, that you thought it was a light whiskey. It is lighter. It's not. It doesn't have that horrible tannin as like before. But I don't think it's gotten any better. I mean, the tannin's kind of mitigated. It's just, it doesn't do anything for me. I can't change my review on that one. Sorry.
Bob?
How many sips did you get?
I gave it 2.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
It's just this barrel, man. Doesn't agree with me.
Well,
What
agrees with
Bobby
him?
Joe? Would you
Ever. I agree with Maury. It's a, it's an entry level whiskey. It is, a very good value for a single barrel because most single barrel products are definitely more money. I think it's well put together. It's not overly complex. It is a little bit woody, this particular barrel.
I mean, I think it's unpleasantly woody.
It's for me, it's bordering. It's not to that point yet, but it is a little overly, this particular one's a little overly woody for me. But overall, a pretty decent whiskey. I'll give it a 3.
Interesting.
All right, Brent.
We're drinking whiskey, right? Not Kool-Aid.
Brent, what?
Yes. Okay,
why don't you tell us about the next one?
Our next product is the Old Forester 100 proof, 50% ABV. It's just non-age stated, so don't know how old this is or anything, but got a nice amber color to it. And the first thing you notice when you get this is the nose right off the bat, especially after the single barrel. The nose on this one, strong, just comes at you really strong. You get some coffee in there. You get some chocolate, some butterscotch, a little bit of oak in there, and then you come to the palate.
When you say strong, do you mean strong flavors or strong as in boozy?
Strong as a nose, like you
Not
get it,
hot,
like
right?
Yeah, like hot, like it comes into your nose.
No, it's not hot. It's not like prickly, like a lot of alcohol.
Well, you kind of,
it was for you?
Yeah, it was for me, especially right off the bat.
I thought it was strong on the flavor. I thought there was lots going on the nose that it was.
And stuff,
sometimes
yeah.
the nose you could almost miss, but this particular one, I thought had a lot going on, but I didn't find it hot.
I didn't find it hot either.
Yeah.
Well,
But then on the palate,
yeah.
Then on the palate, I got some apple and fruits and spice. I got the pancakes with like maple syrup, a little bit of toasted oak.
Yeah, I give you that.
Yeah, and then on the finish, I got some bitterness from the wood, and then followed by cherries. I really got a lot of cherries in this. But the one thing about this one was unique to me was that the nose, the palate, and the finish were all completely different. Like none of them mirrored any one of the other one. Like the nose to me didn't match the palate, then the palate didn't match the finish.
Is that a good thing?
Is that good?
No, I mean it is kind of good. It is, but
unique.
Surprising.
It's unique. It's very unique to me because I didn't think it was, you don't have a lot of bourbons that do that where you have the 3 different levels
and they don't match up.
Yeah, they don't match up, so you get one thing in your nose, a completely different
It's like
thing
an everlasting gobstopper.
No, those are everlasting. So you could just have this over and over and it's like drinking 3 bourbons. But, I really enjoyed it and I'm going to give it a solid 3 sips.
Well, you are as soon as I get back to where I need to be.
Oh.
Interesting.
All right. Mr. Bitter, what do you think?
I actually agree with Bob on this. I mean, Brent on this one. Sorry. Brent, yeah, I got the beautiful nose. I disagree with the heat of the nose. I of course add water, but I taste before and after. Even before the water, I didn't get a lot of heat, but I did get that strong sweet coffee smell you were talking about. It was very pretty and a lot of chocolate, like creaminess and the palate, like you said, didn't quite mirror the nose, but it was more spice. I got a little more like clove and nutmeg, and medium finish. I didn't think it was too bitter. Without the water, I mean, yeah, before without the water, the finish was like, it was nothing great. When I added a few drops of water to it, the finish was longer. I actually got a longer finish with water and had like a lot of chocolate on the finish. So I really enjoyed this one. I thought this was easily a 3-sip whiskey.
All right.
Interesting.
Well, Maury, what'd you think?
I agree with what's been said so far. I think the nose has got a lot going on. It's a fairly complex nose, and I love that. I didn't find it to be hot. Definitely was not searing or burning of the nostrils. I thought
it wasn't really like searing in a bad way or anything. I mean, it was, especially when you compare it to the single barrel, and the single barrel was very light on the nose, and this one, all the flavors came out stronger and more powerful and
exactly
and stuff.
I think it's a beautifully made whiskey. It definitely amps up the flavors quite a bit from the first one. I really toyed around with whether or not it rose to the level of being a 4. But I would say, although I liked it better than the single barrel, I gave it 3 sips.
All right.
What do you think, Justin?
I think that before I added any water, I got really strong coffee and licorice. After I added the water, I got more of a butterscotch on the nose, and then the other flavors were more muted. On the palate, I got some apple, and then I got cloves on the mid palate, and the finish I thought was pretty short, but it was a pretty pleasant bourbon, so I gave it 3 sips.
That was without water? No water? Not at all?
Interesting.
If they
Didn't
wanted me to
change
add
the
water, they would
palate
have given
and
me
the
a bottle
finish
of water
very
next to
much
it when they ordered it.
with the water, but it did change the nose for me.
Bobby Joe.
Let's see. I definitely on the nose. I don't get the burn. So I don't know. Maybe his nose is just overly sensitive today.
He needs to stop doing cocaine right before the show.
I get. Well,
I tried.
Oh, we're staying up at 2 a.m. for us, yeah.
Time to musk up.
I don't know. Yeah. It's it's got a nice nose to it.
I think the nose is very pretty on this one.
There's coffee and cocoa on it. Some butterscotch in the back. I mean, it's got a very lovely nose, and on the palate, hold on. Gotta love this job. Definitely some apples, some apple pear on the front palate. You get the sort of the clove, cinnamon, baking spice along the sides of the palate, and then in the back you're getting that toasted oak, and I get a nice burn that lingers for a little while. It's got a medium to longer finish. I think extremely well done. I give it a solid 3.
Interesting.
Yeah, I found while you guys were chatting, I had a little bit of water. I found that the water didn't really help it at all. It just kind of muted everything for me.
I thought the finish was better with the water. Anywho, what's next, kids?
The water's in front of you.
Oh,
Brent.
you got water, Brent,
Yeah,
over
right
there. All right. Harmeet, would you like to tell us about our next product, please?
No, I wanted to tell you about one later, but no, I got outvoted. All right, I'll tell you about our next product is 1870. So,
parents have any children that live?
1870 original batch was created to honor George Garvin's Brown's original 1870 batching process. Back then, he batched the barrels from 3 different distilleries, and to create a consistent flavor profile. And to emulate that process, they select barrels from 3 warehouses, each barrel originating from a different day of production, with different entry proof and a different age profile. The 3 expressions are then batched together to make this expression. We don't tell us how long they marry in this batch, do they? Do you have any idea, Maury?
No, I have no idea.
What about you, Bob? Bob's far.
Long enough, it's going to cost you a house.
Really? Anywho.
So says the lawyer.
The color on this one is deep amber, copperish. The nose, I thought this was lovely. There's a lot of citrus in this one, and it smelled a little bit like cake. It was like just sweet and floral.
Yeah, it does delicate. It does have like a fruit cakey kind of.
Cakey, yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, I just want cake batter. Nice.
Yeah. It's like vanilla cake batter and fruit cake.
Exactly. Not as fruity as like some other.
No. It's just, there's that
fruit.
slight bit of fruit to it, but it's like a Betty Crocker cake mix.
Yeah, but it really has a lot of finesse.
Yeah,
and femininity to it. It's not quite everything about this, as you'll tell us, is not like a brick in the teeth. It's
no. It's quite good, and it's a softer nose, and the palate it follows with that. More of the spice comes through rather than the citrus. And I think somebody said it was a shortbread type sweetness to it. I don't think it's that sweet, but there is more sweetness to this one than we've had in the other whiskeys we've had today. The finish is medium long, and it brings with that I guess that some of that cakey, soft shortbread finish to it, sweetness. I really enjoyed it, and adding a little bit of water actually brought a little more of that cake nose out of it. And I mean, I'm talking about drops. I'm not talking about a whole bunch of water either. And for this one, I really have to go with 4 sips on it. I really enjoyed this whiskey.
Oh my God.
That's classified.
I didn't have those horrible bitter notes.
Economy with words.
I
look forward to your next syllable with great eagerness.
I have to pick myself up from the floor after you told to do that one.
I know.
But yeah, I
don't disagree with all you bourbon freaks for everything, but there's good bourbon out there.
The copper and stuff, yeah, the copper color and stuff, the amber copper color. That the nose. The one thing about this one that gets me all the way through is that it's just fruit and floral, and that's the best way I can describe it. I just get fruit and floral. So you mentioned the fruits, you mentioned the floral, but it's
no cake for you. You mentioned pancake on another.
I get a little bit of cake. I get a little bit of pumpkin and like biscuits. Like on the palate, I get a little bit of pumpkin and biscuits. But it's everything to me on this one is all those other flavors are kind of mirrored a little bit by the fruits and the florals, and it's almost too florally for me. But it's not bad. It's good. It carries the same.
He doesn't like flowery things.
Nose.
He's a manly man.
The manly man. From the nose to the palate, it's almost identical with the fruits and the florals, and
I just got more spice on the palate. That's all.
Yeah, and I get a little bit of spice on the finish. It's a short finish, but I'm just going to give us 3 sips. Fruit and floral 3 sips.
It's too girly a whiskey for Brent.
Not too girly. No, it's very nice. It's a nice whiskey. I'm surprised you gave it 4.
Justin, do you think it was girly? What's going on?
I would say it was a little on the feminine side, but not in a bad way. And I
like girls, kids. I'm sorry.
I got a sweet nose. I got cloves and like not so sweet clementine. And on the palate, I got spice cake on the mid palate, and then shortbread on the finish, which for me was short.
Just like that review. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for more stuff to come out.
And we're like on the edge of our seats for the sips rating. Then
I'm waiting for more words to come out, and hold on.
You obviously have a wonderful economy with words.
I gave it 3 sips. I did enjoy it, and that's a pretty solid line all the way through the Old Forester line. There wasn't anything I hated today.
Well, you're not even halfway through.
All right.
Well, are we done?
No, I'm
actually hate here. Is there hate in your heart, Maury?
No, as much as I hate to admit it, I agree with you, Harmeet. I think this whiskey's got a lot of finesse. It's definitely more delicate, more feminine in style. It's a beautifully made whiskey. It's a step up from what we've had so far today. I do agree with Brent in contrast to the other one where there was a different flavor profile on both the nose, the palate, and the finish. This one had kind of a very similar profile all the way through. There were no surprises. Very well made whiskey. I gave it a solid 4 sips.
All right.
That's classified.
Yeah, this is pretty. I mean, the flowers on the nose are
pretty flowers
are really evident. It's vanilla cake batter. I mean, it's like licking the spoon out of the vanilla cake.
One of Bob's favorite scotches is a private bottling of Glencaidem 22-year-old Glencaidem. That's like a bouquet of flowers.
Oh yeah,
too. Yeah.
It's that one's amazing. But this is extremely
more spice.
This is extremely well made. You get a little bit of a clove. You get a lot of citrus on it. You get that cake battery vanilla loveliness on the nose. On the palate, I definitely get the citrus. I get sort of the cake and the shortbread on the back end. It's not overly sweet, but it is nice and sweet. A little bit of baking spice. I've tried it both with and without water. I didn't notice a significant pickup on the palate with the water. I did notice a slight pickup on the nose with the water, which I thought was unusual. But overall, I think an extremely well-made whiskey. This was the first one in this series that they came out with, and I think they did a very good job. I give it a solid 4.
Oh, did I mention the proof? It's 90 proof, by the way. Yeah.
Yep.
What's the next one, kids?
All right.
What are we drinking?
Well, have Maury tell us.
All right, our next product is the Old Forester 1897 bottled in bond at 50% ABV. It's a non-age statement whiskey. This expression was the second release of the Old Forester Whiskey Row series and was created to honor the U.S. Bottled in Bond Act of 1897. After the Bottled in Bond Act of 1897, to be labeled as a bottled in bond whiskey, it must be produced of one distillation season, one distiller, and from one distillery.
And 100 proof.
And of course, it comes in at exactly 100 proof.
And doesn't have to be 4 years old as well.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Minimum. I mean, they're older bottled and bond whiskeys.
Yeah,
but
Right, but it's still not age stated. So.
And there are some that will meet the definition who don't put bonded on their bottles, but
That's
you
right.
know, that goes back. We did a show on bonded whiskey, like 2-3 years ago, where we went into
there
all
have
the
to be government
details.
inspectors involved in the whole thing.
Correct. But it was one of the first assurances of quality.
It predated the Food and Drug Act. So you know your liquor was good, although your laudanum may come from questionable sources. Yeah.
This is
Is there snake oil in my heroin? What's going on?
Oh, God, yeah.
This is a beautiful whiskey. It's got a beautiful color. Again, a little bit of step up in color in terms of a little more richness and copper and mahogany on the nose. It's robust. It's intense. You get all the usual things that you expect out of a bourbon. You get intense caramel, vanilla, a little bit of coffee notes, some spice, dark fruit, and definitely a little bit of oak on the nose. It's got a beautiful mouthfeel. It coats the palate.
That's what she said.
Sweet. It's intense. Again, lots of deep fruit, spice, oak notes. I mean, really just all the things you want in a traditional and classic bourbon. The finish I found to be long, not the longest I've ever had, but definitely medium to long and just enjoyable. And I think we're going to take a break. I'm going to come back and give you my sips rating.
Sounds like a plan. And we'll be back.
Just the destination, but baby, the whole elation riding down this lover's avenue. As slow as the willow blows, or as fast as the whirlwind grows, we glide beneath the stars in cobalt blue. Look to the left, to the right, keep your eyes on the road, my darling, wondering if we're only passing through. Open roads and open windows, my hand is yours forever, sweet love. Our eyes ahead on these back roads with a view.
And we're back, and we are still talking about the Old Forester line of bourbons. And Maury was just finishing up his review of the Old Forester 1897 bottled in bond.
Thank you, Bob. Again, really a super delicious whiskey. Teetering on 5. Definitely my favorite of the morning in the basement so far. I gave it a solid 4 sips.
All right.
That's classified.
Brent, what'd you think?
I have to agree with most of the things that the Maury said about this. There's nothing wrong with this bourbon. It's very nice. It's got that caramel, that caramel flavor that you love in it. It's got the coffee, the notes, the oak and stuff. My only problem that I had with this was the finish. For me, the finish was a little bit of it's kind of like a short finish, and it got a little bit of bitterness. And
they call me Mr. Bitter.
Yeah, and they call you Mr. Bitter, but I got a little bit of bitterness to this that overpowered the caramel at the end. But great. And it's a great. Still, it's nothing bad about this. This is very enjoyable. But I'm just going to give this a solid 3 sips.
Okay.
Interesting.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, Justin, what'd you think?
I saw a dark orange color on it, and I got cinnamon and birch and muted vanilla on the nose. The palate, the mouthfeel kind of reminded me of a Werther's cough drop in a good way.
Werther's makes cough drops? You mean candy?
And I thought it was rich and spicy, and it had a longer finish than the ones we've had so far. I gave it 4 sips.
All right.
That's classified.
So I guess I'll go next because Bob likes to finish everything because he's the man. Bob finishes.
That's how it works. That's how it works in the house, too.
He's the finisher.
Finisher.
The finisher.
So, all right. So I just keep coming back to this one.
You
This
guys are dumber than a box of hair.
I wish I had a box of hair. That's why I'm wearing a hat to cover my baldness today. It's getting worse. Anyway.
We interrupt this program to annoy you and make things generally irritating.
I love the nose on this. I just keep coming back. Lots of caramel, lots of vanilla, coffee. I got fig. I got like candied fig on this thing. And the flavors, like I think Justin's good with the Werther candy, right? The Werthers.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. More fig on that palate. Just the beautiful caramel. It's vanilla. It's pretty good. And I disagree with Brent. I don't think it's too short a finish. I see where you're talking about the bitterness, but a couple drops of water brought out more vanilla and sweet coffee on the finish, and easily a 4 sips. I was teetering on 5, but I'm going with 4. Wrong button, Bob.
Oh, God, you agreed with me.
Classified.
Let me pour some water in this.
He just made a glass of water.
Put a drop of whiskey in
Drops
there.
of water, man.
Lord, right down in the toilet it goes. On the nose, definitely the caramel, the vanilla, the coffee notes that I get on this. You get the oak, but it's not overpowering. It's a nice underlayment on the oak. The thing that I picked up on this is the mouthfeel. This is the one of all the ones we've had that has, it's the most, I wouldn't call it oily like a Campbelltown Scotch oily, but it's the most viscous of the ones that we've tried so far. Dark fruit, butterscotch on the back palate, some nice dark caramel notes and vanilla, extremely well made whiskey. Yeah, it's a winner. I give it a solid 4.
Now you find the right button. Thanks.
So, Bob, why don't you tell Bob about the next whiskey?
Bob, are you doing the next whiskey?
I have multiple personalities. I'll have to introduce myself. Like I said, it's okay. It's okay if you talk to yourself. It's just not okay if you start arguing with yourself. That's the first sign of insanity. At least that's what my therapist said before I stabbed him. All right. All right. The next one we've got is the Old Forester 1920 Prohibition style. This one comes in at 57.5% ABV. And if you can't do math, that's 115. So, this expression is the third release in the Old Forester Whiskey Row series. It celebrates the brand's continued distillation during Prohibition. For 13 years, the production, transport, and sale of alcohol was strictly prohibited. Didn't really slow it down, but technically it was prohibited. However, Old Forester was granted a permit to continue distilling on Louisville's Whiskey Row for medicinal purposes. Yay.
Good medicine.
Yeah.
That's good medicine.
See, nothing's really changed. You can go to California and get one of them fancy cards because you have anxiety. So
they don't need that anymore. It's legal now. It's just recreational.
The 115 proof expression represents a barrel sample that company president Owsley Brown would have batched at the beginning of Prohibition. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds good. So, but the whiskey itself is good. This one, definitely on the nose.
And by the way, the color is the darkest of the whiskeys we tried.
The color on this is absolutely lovely. It's like a dark bronze mahogany color on it. One note that I've noted on a couple of these, cherries definitely come out on the nose for me on a lot of their products. I guess that's just indicative of their style. Some lovely caramel, molasses on the back end, some dark chocolate, and just a nice little underlayment of oak underneath on the nose and on the palate. Hold on. Yeah, definitely just layers and layers of caramel on this. I pick up a little bit of a graham crackery kind of flavor on the back end, a little bit of pepper. and a bit of light oak spiciness on the back, and I really pick up the black cherry on this. The nose on this one definitely follows through on the cherries. This one, out of the ones they've made so far for this series, has always been my favorite. I mean, I liked the other two when they came out. This one came out, I said, okay, this is all I'm buying from now on. A solid whiskey. I give it 4.
That's classified.
So, Mr. Happy, what do you think?
I'm still tasting it. I love this stuff.
That's good.
I got the cherry preserves you're talking about, the caramel. That there's more sweetness to it, and it's not just cherry though. There's something else. There's the darker fruit. I want to say fig, maybe it's dates or something. I don't know, but it's something else besides cherry that I'm getting on there. It's a black fruit, and there's beautiful.
Plums, you're just getting a dark cherry. It's a dark
maybe
cherry.
Like stewed plums.
Like a black cherry.
Yeah. I know. But for me, cherry has a little more acidity. I associate with a little more acidic lift with cherry. This is maybe it's more stewed cherries, like very dark fruit.
It's like stewed cherries and stewed plums and
it's just and there's a little hint of chocolate and caramel underneath all that fruit. It's just very pretty.
Yeah.
The flavor comes through. There's a little nuttiness as well. Somebody mentioned coriander. I got that earlier as this whiskey rested in the glass. That coriander spice went away. It's more traditional now. I like it's got a long finish. I tried with water, and you guys are gonna just fall out of your seats. I prefer it without water. It's 115 proof. I prefer this without water. There you go. I think the water did not do anything to help this whiskey. I think this is the best without the water.
If they wanted you to drink it with water, they would have provided a bottle and taped it to the side.
I get water out of the tap. You guys need to get more water in your systems. This is why you're all that's why your skin all looks like that.
Field said, "I don't drink water. Fish fornicate in it."
Yeah. Exactly.
But this whiskey I thought was fantastic, and I've had it before, and it's definitely a 5 for me. This is a 5 tonight.
Wow, that's unusual. Those don't come out very often from him.
Not the bourbon.
Yeah, this is true. I can hardly remember the last time Harmeet gave a 5 to a bourbon. So
rye, maybe, yeah.
But Harmeet, this was Made Man Maury. I have to admit, I agree with you, spot on this whiskey. It's definitely my favorite of the series. It is not drink hot. It's a little bit hotter. I thought there was a really nice step up in flavor with last whiskey when we went to the 1897. It was only 10 proof points higher at 50% ABV, but had a lot more flavor. This one comes up another 15 proof points, but wow, it's just exponentially more flavor, layers. This is a manly whiskey. I think it's a phenomenal whiskey.
Yeah, you're right. Give me the bottle. It shouldn't sit near you then.
It's definitely my favorite of the series. It's got the darkest color. It's got the most flavor. It's got the highest proof point, and it's just a phenomenal whiskey. Everything the other one had prior, and then some.
Brent is helping himself some more.
I give it a solid 5 sips.
How unusual for him. He's having another. Who would have
another?
Ever seen him have another?
So let me. Does anybody know how many more? Is there going to be more in the series? Or the Whiskey Row series? Does anybody know if this is the end of it, or is there going to be more of them?
This is the pinnacle for me.
Yeah, I think they're waiting for another date.
Yeah, another date.
1920.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
so I'm going to do my review.
2018, the year that Brent drank a case of it. So
yeah, so I'm going to do my review. It's going to be different. It's going to start off with my SIPS rating, which is it's not a 1, but it's a 5.
That's very nice.
And, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Is that 3 5s for this whiskey already?
That's 3 5s.
It's very enjoyable. It's everything you love in a whiskey. The fruit, the berries, everything that you love.
The cherry is pretty remarkable.
The cherries come out.
The vanilla
on this one so far.
Yeah. The vanilla,
there's
the caramel,
fruit there.
everything that you like. And but one thing that impresses me the most about this, besides what you guys said about all the flavors and stuff, is the value. I mean, you can get this for under $60, and this to me is 5 sips. I mean, it's under $60, and it's a great bourbon. I don't know how you can go. I mean, for the value, I don't know what what better value is out there. Well, a couple, $12 bottles, but for the mid range, this beats them all. So, what do you think, Justin?
I agree with you on the value, Brent.
Yeah,
I like the dark color. Definitely made a statement compared to the other expressions we've had so far. I got cardamom and maple syrup on the nose and enveloped you. And I got caramel spice on the finish. And there's just a great balance to this bourbon. It's not too sweet. It's not too bitter. It's just right. And it has a longer finish than a lot of the other expressions we've had today. And for me, the spice grew and grew until it finished. And then it quietly fades away. It's an exceptional bourbon, period. And when you consider what it costs, it's just amazing.
How many sips? What do you give it for a
5
sips?
sips.
Oh, 5 sips.
All right.
my
Well,
goodness.
Justin,
You're the
tell
odd
us,
man out, Bob.
Justin, tell us about our last whiskey because we're running out of time.
Our next whiskey is Old Forester Statesman. It's 47.5% alcohol by volume. And this expression was created in honor of the release of the movie Kingsman, The Golden Circle. And the expression is made from hand-selected casks from the warmest places in the warehouse. And they do a good job of putting it out in the movie without hammering you with it. And I get cloves and spice and burnt orange on the nose. It has a light orange color to it. I get a buttery leather feel to it on the palate. And it fades off pretty fast with a short finish that ends sweet. I do like this spirit. I gave it 3 sips.
All right. Maury, what'd you think?
I'm choking. Can you come back to me?
Okay, I'll
Brent.
So you know what? The one thing about this that was different that for me was that I thought this one tried to bring spice to it, but didn't. Like it tried to bring the heat. So when I got to the finish, it was like it gave me that quick burst of pepper and clove and cinnamon and spice, and then just like stopped and just killed it. It just like stopped. It was like a dead stop. So for me, it was 3 sips.
All right. Maury?
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the brief interruption. I like this whiskey. I thought it was very nice. I thought it was different from all the rest. It definitely had more interesting spice to it. I got a lot more cinnamon and nutmeg and some of those baking spices. Has a nice nose, beautiful mid palate. I do agree with Brent. The finish is a little short. Overall, a little bit of a lighter style whiskey. The color's lighter. The flavors, everything is a little bit lighter, more comparable to some of the whiskeys we had early in the show today, but very well made. I liked it a lot. I was teetering between a 3 and a 4. I gave it a solid 3 sips.
Interesting.
Happy.
All right. Harm, what'd you think?
I got on the nose a little more chocolate. I got the burnt orange that he was Justin was talking about, the vanilla, and the spice was there. I don't dislike this whiskey. I thought I really was impressed with the spice, and I don't think the finish ended as fast as you thought it did, Brent. More of a medium finish, and I easily give it 4 sips.
That's classified.
Yeah, the thing that I noticed on this is it is different from all the ones we've had. I'm not picking up any cherry on this, and it's the only one I have.
No
This
cherry.
is like an old worn leather bag.
Right, it's more spice than anything else. Yeah,
I mean it's
like
absolutely lovely, and I thought putting it after the 1920 is a bad idea because that one's more of the powerhouse, but it's not. This is a much softer whiskey, and it's not nearly as powerful, but it's entirely different.
Yeah,
so that's the thing that I really took out of it. I'm trying to taste it on its own merits and just think about what it is without trying to compare it. Give it a solid 4.
All right.
That's classified.
All right. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and you can catch all of our episodes online, as well as on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, PRX, and Spreaker are native media hosts. iTunes, Google Play, and our own Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy the show on your phone. Just search for Sips, Suds, Smokes in iTunes or in the Google Play Store. Be sure to tap subscribe, and the show will always be on your phone. We love your feedback. You can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day at SipSudsSmokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll also be able to interact with all the other fans on these social media platforms. Do us a favor, please take the time to rate this episode. If you're listening to us online, it's a big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. I want to thank our co-host for joining us today, Mr. Happy.
Thanks, Bob, for having me. I think Old Forester really brought it today. Except for that single barrel, I think these were really great whiskeys.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you so much, Bob. Great show.
And thank you, Maury, and your powerful friends for providing us with this lovely whiskey.
You're welcome, Bob. It was a pleasure to be here. I really enjoyed tasting these whiskeys side by side today. It was a very useful exercise and instructional. And I think Mr. Garvin Brown would be very proud in the way you decorated the basement.
Let me pick that name up while we throw it to Brent. Brent, what'd you think?
Yeah.
Well,
hold on. Let me help you. You don't lift with your legs, not your back.
Right. Well, since I spent most of my time on the bear rug with you in the basement, I mean, I can say that it was great whiskeys, great basement. Great
Just
bourbon.
get over here and spoon with me, boy.
Oh, yes. Yes. So, thanks for having us tonight.
Bring the manly whiskey.
I definitely
Thanks
just
for
threw
having
up
us
in my
this
mouth.
morning, Bob.
Oh, dear God.
We enjoyed it.
Oh, God.
For Sips, Suds, and Smokes, this is Man Bob, and we thank you for joining us.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.